everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everybody for coming back to the channel. Thank you so much to everybody who's listening right now in the podcast. It is Wednesday, August 13, 2025. I want to share this story about tainted food being served in Italy, and actually 2 people died after eating that. Before I continue, that I'm gonna give you a trigger warning, so maybe this is, if you're sensitive to topics like this, maybe this is not the podcast that you want to listen to or watch here on YouTube. And also I want to say before I continue, thank you so much to everybody who has been following the podcast on Spotify. Don't forget to do so, so every time I make a new episode you get a notification. And also the same thing on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to follow the podcast and rate the podcast. That really helps me as a creator, and to see the ratings and to see the follows really push the podcast to a bigger audience, so I really appreciate that. And also, of course, thank you so much everybody who is watching this video right now on YouTube, excuse me. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, you guys. I think I made an episode related to something like this, serving somebody something to eat just to cause them harm. I think that's a different type of evil. That's like what it is to prepare a meal for somebody, that especially the meal that they like, just so that you can cause harm to them. That's like a different level of evilness. I don't know like how to describe it. That's crazy. And people do this very often. This is not a rare thing. It happens a lot, right? Case after case of, we have that dentist who will serve the wife like milkshakes every day, her a healthy shake every day. He was putting something, poisonous on it, and she lost her life. And then we have the Christmas cake that happened in Brazil. 5 family members died after eating the cake. That's such a traditional piece of the Christmas celebration over there. And now we have 2 people dead in Italy, right? And 14 people hospitalized after eating panini sandwiches from a food truck. Always pray before you eat. I'm not saying that the people that were affected by this didn't pray. I don't know that, right? All I'm saying is that you really don't know, and you shouldn't be eating from anybody's table. I know we love to go out to eat at restaurants and like a food truck here and things like that, but when you are like getting ready to like approach a place, or you notice that the way they treat you is kind of like, why are you even here, this type of thing, when you feel that immediately, that's not for you to be there, right? It's like the people that they don't really like you that much, and then they want to give you like things, and they're like, oh, I'll make something for you, like like you shouldn't be there, right? Because if you give them chance and chance after chance, that you notice there's some type of animosity towards you, and now they want to cook for you, really now come to my house, and I want to prepare a meal for you. That's not your place to be, right? So always pray for your food, right? That's the thing, like always make it a habit to always pray before you eat, because we really don't know. We live in a crazy world, like I said, and this is a different type of evil. When you see somebody buying ingredients, doing all of that just to harm somebody, you know what it is like saying, I prepared your favorite thing to eat, and they know they put something there to harm that person. But this case that I'm going to speak to you guys about is a little different though, because they say it's a food truck. So let's see what happened, okay? 2 people have died, says here. 2 people have died, and 14 other people were hospitalized, including 2 teenagers, after eating sausages and panini sandwiches from a food truck in southwest Italy, linked to the country's second taxi botulism outbreak in a month. Okay, I know there's a lot of disease too, and also like I'm not trying to bash any food truck, nothing like that. You need to understand that food vendors, right, a lot of the times they don't know how to handle properly food, right? Especially, I mean, the bottom line is, I don't know how to explain. You need to know that you have to pray before you eat anything, right? But like a lot of these street vendors and things like that, they don't have the best hygiene type of thing. They don't know how to handle the right, the meat contamination, things like that. And now we're living in a world that, after everything that happened with the pandemic, right? There are other things. I mean, there's a thing going on in New York City now, some type of very contagious disease. Right now they're saying this is a second toxic outbreak in Italy. It says here that Luigi Di Sarno, 52, and Tamara Di Acunto, 45, died within 2 days of ingesting the tainted sandwiches. Another 14 people were hospitalized with food poisoning. This Di Sarno, the person who died, an artist, was sent home from the hospital even after complaining he wasn't feeling well, and later died at home, as the sister said. All the victims affected by this had eaten sandwiches from a food truck near the town of Diamante in Calabria, which spans the toe of Italy's food, according to authorities. And it says here, give me 1 second, botulism outbreak. They each ordered the same meal, a panini topped with grilled sausages and creme de rapa, or turnip tops. That's how you say it in English, it says here. Giuseppe Santonosito, 33 years old, owner of the food truck, and his 3 employees who allegedly made the tainted paninis are under investigation. So something is going on here, right? You have 16 people order the same stuff, right? And they all got sick, and 2 of them already died. So now the owner of the food truck are under investigation. Officials also ordered nationwide seizure of the panini, which was commercially produced, and are proving other products that were sold at the food truck. He purchased the produce in the panini for the panini in the late July, and only had enough to make 6 or 7 sandwiches before they ran out, his lawyer said. He's psychologically devastated, the owner, right? He has worked for around 9 years in the food sector, and he's well respected. He is convinced that the contamination was already in the products that he served. So 9 years working with the food truck, and he never experienced something like this, right? So that's also that you have to like make a parenthesis here and think like, maybe he's not at fault. Like how can you tell, you create sandwiches and you sell sandwiches for a living, and how will you tell like the panini that you're buying to create your sandwiches? It's always like there's always somebody like behind it, right? People say, I don't like how the thing that you sold to me didn't work out. They're like, well, you go to the manufacturer, right? And then the manufacturer said, well, gotta go to the vendor who supplied this to me, right? So this is basically what this guy is saying. Like, it's not us, it's the people who sold the bread to us, right? So 5 doctors who treated the victims are at 2 different hospitals are also being proved for apparently not making their diagnosis quickly enough. They're investigating everybody. They're saying the doctors should have known that something more dangerous was already like happening to the patients. So now they're also investigating the doctors. Botulism is a bacterial infection. It's most commonly linked to food poisoning. And that's the Center for Disease Control and Prevention saying in extreme cases, it can cause muscle paralysis and even death. And I think that's what happened here. Like 2 of them already passed. In late July, another taxi botulism outbreak in Sardinia, an island west of Italy mainland, left one woman dead after eating spoiled guacamole at a festival. 7 others, including an 11-year-old boy, were treated for food poisoning. Italy Ministry of Health immediately activated at the health protocols following the dual outbreaks to ensure the patients had timely access to life-saving antidote treatments, according to the government agency. So this is the thing, like, we're so vulnerable, right? That's why you have to pray before you eat anything, right? I don't think in this case was intentionally. After reading this article, I think it was probably, there's, they're gonna do the investigation. I don't want to speculate because, your mind can go really crazy and think it could be like, it's the guy behind, it's this person, it's the reason for this. It could be so many things, right? So they're gonna do the investigation, but after reading this, I don't think it was intentional. But it's like, we're so vulnerable to a lot of things, right? I mean, people are allergic to crazy stuff, right? Some people, like, they get life-threatening, symptoms, right? If they eat something, or somebody next to them is eating something that they might be allergic to. It's so dangerous, right? And your life can change at any moment. That's what I always say, the best thing in life is to get in a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. We really don't know, right? And sometimes, because they mention here guacamole that was spoiled. Sometimes you have to look at the things, right? I like, when I go order, like, places like Chipotle and things like that, I like when you can see it, right? Sometimes I'm like, why does it look so dark, the guacamole? Like, the guac needs to be refreshed a little bit more. Like, I don't even want it, because that's how quickly, like, the moment that thing is like mixed, obviously people that know about food, right? I'm not a chef, nothing like that. They know, like, it can spoil very quickly. It's like leaving a banana outside on a table on a summer days, right? Like, it's just the clocks start clicking, right? And we shouldn't sometimes, we always say, like, oh no, it's safe to eat it, it's safe. Eating spoiled food is a very real thing. It's a very dangerous thing, and sometimes we think that, oh no, it's still safe. We make our like, determination, I guess you can say, but better. Like, you shouldn't be eating something that's already spoiled. And one thing is to pray before you eat, but God also gives you wisdom, and you shouldn't be dumb, right? It's like, God, I'm gonna walk in the middle of this street, like, with all the traffic coming on. Like, really, like, you should be smart, right? And exercise wisdom. In this case, obviously, I'm not talking about this case specifically right now, because they were just at a festival ordering panini from a food truck. Who would have thought, right? That's like the thing that you look at, oh, that's the most popular food truck, let me order from there, right? You never think that you're gonna get sick from that, right? And sometimes, you have a good experience with the food truck, and you're like, I can't wait to see them again. And the second time, things don't taste the same. You might get food poisoning, you get sick or something. So it's just, it's just part of life, I guess. We'll see what happened in this case. If there's an update, I'll definitely come and tell you exactly what happened. But it looks to me like they're going to investigate fully the owners, right? And the doctors, because they should have determined, like it says here in the article, that this was bigger than what it, dismissing people from the hospital and saying, no, you're good, you're going to be discharged, you're good to go. And the police is like, no, we're going to investigate the doctors too. What kind of treatment is that? So we'll just see what happens. Let me know, guys, what you think about this. Actually, I'm gonna read the comments, excuse me, because I see there's a lot of comments in this story. So let me see what people are saying briefly. Somebody saying, in the year 2000, I went to a music festival and ate from a food truck, and I remember all the food vendors were talking about being out of ice and I didn't think much about it. I was so sick that I was sure I was dying. That's the other thing too. Like, you can't, like the other day I saw a truck that was selling like I mean, we're in the middle of summer right now, and I know this is the thing now, the festivals, the fairs and things like this, there's always a food vendor. Like, why are you trying to eat fish on the summertime? Like, you know, like I said, I'm not a chef and maybe I'm messing up with what I'm saying, but one thing I know of certain meats and things like that, you need to either cook them quickly, you can just leave them there like open air or something like this. And when you have a food truck that arrives at 7 in the morning to do a festival that ends at 10 p.m., like, come on. You know that there's gonna be some type of what they say, cutting corners or something. They're not gonna do a fully through job. They're gonna mess up at some point, because like, oh, let's go get more ice, but it's filled with people, and we gotta go all the way to the cars and like drive to get ice or something. It's gonna be a hassle, right? So they're gonna cut corners, and that's gonna, it's gonna create this tumbling ball that's gonna roll at you as the consumer. So you exercise wisdom, right? You need to understand, if the food truck has been there since 7 in the morning, you're trying to buy ceviche at 6 p.m. 7 p.m. at a festival. That's just, you can that's up to you at this point, right? Go with the Lord, basically. And somebody said, I always said, eat from a food truck and turn at the hospital. Somebody say, let me just continue. And people in the comments are definitely against eating from a food truck. I didn't think it was that common for people to reject food trucks, because I always thought, but I always thought that they were so popular. They're very popular, right? And a lot of them are really good. I come from selling at the farmers market when I used to have the studio, and the food trucks was like everywhere, right? And it was a very common thing. But the farmers market was like, what, 4 hours? And even then, what I noticed was that when they run out of food, they'll be like, we're done, and or if they have leftover, they'll give it away. But all these big music festivals and things like this that last like over 6 hours, they're gonna cut corners at some point, especially in the summertime. How much ice can they bring to keep the ice, to keep the food properly prepared and maintained? They're gonna cut corners at some point, and that's, it's your own risk, right? And let me see. Say one of those sandwiches. Oh, somebody's being stupid. Somebody said there are always 3 things I'll bring when traveling: a US flashlight to check hotel rooms for bedbugs and other stuff. I don't want to read it. And $10 food temperature probe, right? Checking the temperature too is so important, right? Somebody said, wow, imagine that being your last meal. I don't think they're gonna care about that. Somebody also says, that sandwich just sounds gross. It's not about like what the sandwich contains, right? Because people, everybody has a different taste, and you respect that, right? I think it's the thing is like the handling, right? The handling of the food truck. Just because you see that they're always busy doesn't mean that they're not gonna cut corners at some point. If anything, they might undercook some of the meat because they want to get the line out faster. That's another thing too, right? So somebody says here, food trucks are not regulated or inspected in New York City, where every small and large food eatery have has to have a rating. When I see people eating from these trucks, I'm amazed. Guess they never had food poisoning before. You know, that's true. Like this article that I just read to you guys, this story, excuse me, really alerted me. Not that I'm a food truck type of person, nothing like that, but I have, you know, eaten from some of them in the past. But no, it's true. Like you have to pay attention to all of that. You have to pay attention. You shouldn't be trying to eat lobster and like things like that are, you know, like lobster, like ceviche, fish, all of this stuff. Like really, you're gonna think that an $8 meal. I'm not saying like please don't come for me, but I'm saying like at a music festival that, you know, these people arrive so early because they gotta park the food truck, and they have to have enough things to last there until 8-10 p.m. sometimes, and you really think they're never gonna cut corners at some point, and that fish is gonna be, you know, properly handled the right way. That's just eating at your own risk at this point. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this. Thank you so much for coming to the channel. Thank you, of course, for listening to the podcast. Have a good day. God bless. Everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good day, everybody. God bless.